All right, everybody, we're going to get started. I call this meeting of the August 13th, 2024 regular board meeting, Pulaski County Special School District, to order. Ms. Smith is not here, so I will call the roll. Ward?
Here.
Thomas? Tate?
Here.
Smith? Potter?
Here.
Keller? Delaney? Here. Okay, we have a quorum. If you will please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. That brings us down to public comments. We have 3 public comments tonight. I will read a brief statement before we start. We allow each speaker 3 minutes for public comments. I will keep time for us. Our responsibility is to listen to your comments. The board does not respond or discuss your comments during this time. You have First Amendment rights during your 3 minutes. My polite request is that for any complaints naming a staff member, please consider whether it is necessary to name that staff member in order to make your point. Okay, our first one up, a familiar name, Steve Wilson.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes. I won't need the 3 minutes. I know that's hard for everybody to believe because I talk a lot. But
Well, you're on TV.
What?
You know how to hit your marks.
Well, I think y'all have heard all the needs. I'm representing Robinson High School tonight, and I know a lot of our teachers on here tonight are parents because they're in teachers' meetings. So I'm representing them tonight, and I really just have a couple of questions. One is, what kind of timeline are we on, and when would we be able to find out the final decision? And my final question is, what else can we do to make sure that Robinson gets taken care of?
All right.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate a good vote.
Okay. Somebody's been at the legislature. All right. Okay. Next up, we have Angela Thomas.
Hello, as you stated, my name is Angela Thomas. Just want to say I'm excited that the school year is getting ready to start, to see all the kids come back and everything like that. I actually have 3 children myself in PCSSD. I'm a product of PCSSD, and I also work for PCSSD. I came before you guys before school let out, asking you guys to consider the pay for support staff. And I'm coming before you again to ask you to please consider the pay for support staff. As you know, we've been in trainings all this week, and I've been excited to see familiar faces with the officers that were here last year. And sad to say, a lot of them are not here, and part of that is because of the pay. And as you know, PCSSD is a growing district. We always have, we're going to have several children come into this district. We need the bodies to make sure that the buildings are secure. Not only that, we had qualified people here to do the job, but it's left, as I said, because they're torn between a decision to take care of their families or stay here at PCSSD. Not only that, the entry pay for people coming through the door is around $12, and this is a growing economy. Food is high, bills is high, and if you got 3 children like me, they are high, so I just want to ask you guys to please consider the pay for all support staff. I know it can't be easy trying to hire the receptionists, the custodians, like I said, security, paras, all support staff. The teachers got their, raise, which is very well deserving, but I'm asking you guys to help your support staff. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Okay, Mr. Alamang.
again, I appreciate the 3 minutes. I'm here as the supervisor for my officers. They come to me and they voice those same concerns about pay. But when I'm in the interview process, and we tell new security officers that your starting wage is going to be $12.94 an hour, they get up and walk out. So security is the first line of defense at our schools. You got your security, then you got your SROs, and it goes up from there. So you are limiting the security for your schools if you do not take into consideration raising the minimum pay for security officers. On a constant, throughout the year, I receive requests from principals about where are our security officers. We need security officers. And unfortunately, I have to continue to tell them that we do not have the staffing to fill that particular position. Just recently, we had interviews, we conducted interviews, and again, most of our applicants walked out of the interview once we advised them of the salary. I'm just asking that you, again, consider raising the salary for not only security, but for classifieds. But please listen to what we're saying, because we don't want to wait till a situation happens and then we say, well, we didn't invest in our schools, we didn't invest in our security, and then it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hellman. All right. That is all of our public comments. Our next item on the agenda is approval of the last meeting's minutes. I will take a motion to approve those minutes. Ms. Potter has made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Tate has seconded. Discussion? Okay, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of approving last meeting's minutes, say aye. 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 Opposed? Okay. That brings us down to certified PPC. Ms. Robinson? No? Here? Okay, good. I mean, good that you're here. Speak also. I said good. It's good that you're here, not good that you're not speaking. Classified PPC. Don't see him. Okay. Our special action item is getting pulled. The presenter for that is not here. That brings us down to reports. We have a few reports tonight, starting with our report card with Dr. Whitfield, Dr. Sonia Whitfield.
So every year, this is a short report, every year the Office of Educational Policy from the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville releases their school report card. So it's always a year behind, so this is based on 2023 test scores. So they send the report out and it compares school districts in the same region. So it compares PCSSD with Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, and just how we're doing in comparison to those school districts around us. So based on overall essay index from 2023, comparing Jacksonville, Little Rock, North Little Rock, and PCSD, and the first column under that would be elementary schools in the turquoise color, middle schools, then high school. So overall index, essay index, as you can see, PCSSD is leading the pack in our area in elementary, middle, and high school. The asterisk above elementary indicates that the elementary schools are performing at or, well, actually above the state average. Next slide. So the next slide, achievement. Again, you see, I guess you could call it our competition. The three school districts, and then PCSSD, again, is leading the pack when it comes to achievement, with elementary being above the state average. So we build a strong foundation in elementary, and the hope is to get the growth, and we see that then moving on up middle school and high school. School quality. School quality, those are those factors: attendance, reading on grade level, achievement, growth on science. In high school, it includes the number of students who are enrolled in advanced courses, computer science courses, their community service learning, and as well as performance on ACT. So the school quality score, proud to say, again, leading our competition, and the middle schools are above the state average. So way to go, middle school. So the last one is growth, and everyone in education would agree with me that growth is the most important measure of school quality, because it measures me as a student where I started and where I'm ending. So it's my achievement from year to year, and it's a level playing field. It takes out race, it takes out your native language. It's just your starting point and your ending point. So regardless of income, any of those things, all students are expected to grow. So this one is probably one that I'm most proud of, as you can see, in elementary, middle, and high school above the state average. So you have to demonstrate growth to get to the high achievement. So that one deserves a huge clap. So the report also categorizes schools based on growth and places them, ranks them. So you can be in the top 10% ranking of all schools in Arkansas, the top 25%. So when we look at the next slide, it shows which schools in PCSD are ranked amongst the top 25% of Arkansas schools based on growth. So you can see those schools. We have one secondary school and the rest are elementary. So you can, Baker, Cato, Chenal, Clinton, College Station, Crystal Hill, Robinson L, Sherwood, Sylvan Hills Elementary, Chenal, Pine Forest, and Sylvan Hills Junior are all ranked in Arkansas's top 25%. And to get that, you have to have an average score, an average growth score of 82 in elementary and middle school, and 81 in the high school or secondary school. Last slide. So based on achievement and growth, we have 3 schools that made it to the top 10% of Arkansas schools. So Baker is 99th percentile in achievement, 91st percentile in growth. Chenal, 98th percentile achievement, 97th in growth. And Pine Forest, 94th percentile in growth. So congratulations to those teachers, support staff, administration, everybody, the students, the families are all working hard to make it to that list. That's no easy feat. So my next presentation is just to give you a little overview of merit pay. And you all know that merit pay, I think it's like section 37 of LEARNS, that explains what merit pay is, how to receive it. So just going to give you a little information statewide and what that looks like in PCSSD. So a few of our statewide facts: approximately 3,000 teachers in Arkansas, which is about 10% of Arkansas teachers, qualified for merit pay. Over 500 teachers received $500,000 or less, and over 40 in the state received $10,000 in merit pay. And the average bonus in Arkansas was $3,300.
Yeah, you said 500,000.
She meant 5,000.
Yeah, we know what she meant. We just want it for the record.
So to qualify for merit pay, the middle circle, you can't get past this. You have to have an end-of-year rating, so your end-of-year evaluation rating had to be effective or higher. Teachers had to demonstrate outstanding growth in student performance, so that's that growth score again. Teach in a shortage subject area or geographic shortage area, and serve as a mentor to a year-long aspiring teacher. And for this, teacher means a licensed classroom teacher who spends at least 70% of their time with students, a school counselor, a teacher librarian, and an Arkansas teacher employed under an aspiring teacher's permit. Right now, only Northern Arkansas has that in place, so there are only 2 of those. And again, must have that effective or higher annual rating in the educator effective system, and must have had that growth score for 3 years in a row. So those were the rules for this last year. Next. So the category, who received this bonus, if you demonstrated outstanding growth in student performance, that means you had that growth score on average, your students had that growth score of 80 or higher. And if they were in the top 5% of teachers who maintained that 80% for 3 years in a row, they could receive up to $10,000. And teachers who taught the same subject in either ELA, math, or science, and if they were in the top 25% of teachers, they would receive a $3,000 merit bonus. And again, next. If you were a lead or a master, if you received the lead or master professional educator designation, you would qualify, and that's just added to your licensure. So if teachers got that on their licensure, they were could receive this bonus. If they completed DESE recognized coaching training, and again had that effective or highly effective rating at the end of the year and minimum 3 years teaching experience, they could qualify. Teachers who taught in that shortage area, computer science, foreign language, secondary math, secondary science, and special education, if they met all the other requirements and taught in any of these areas, they could qualify. So there's multiple paths to qualify to receive the merit bonus. So the last slide shows Arkansas stats and PCSSD. So in PCSSD, we had 2 teachers who qualified for that $10,000 bonus. 35 total in Arkansas, and we had 2 here in PCSSD. 1 qualified for a $9,000 bonus. We had 3 who qualified for $6,000, 12 who qualified for $3,000. We had none qualify for that average growth in science. 14 qualified for the subject shortage area, 80 for the geographic shortage area, and 2 as a lead mentor in a shortage area. So in all, Pulaski County Special School District received $241,000 in merit pay. So That's pretty good when you look at statewide and then our numbers. So a lot of teachers received a bonus that had no idea they were getting it. So made a lot of people happy. So for next year, they've adjusted the rules a little bit, and I'll share that information as it becomes solidified. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh, a quick question. So, before school starts, when all the meetings are taking place, do you guys give all of the teachers in the district the criteria for these particular bonuses, just so that it's on their radar, and maybe that's a little bit of an extra incentive to?
Well, we didn't get it
Okay.
until the end of the school
Okay.
year. So we received it probably the same time we received the list of teachers who would qualify.
Okay.
So they have rewritten some of the rules, so they'll have that information.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. I guess with it being the first year.
Yeah, that
and-
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
No? Okay. Okay. Our next report is our security audit report with Mr. Elliman.
All right, so LEARN requires that each school district complete a school safety audit every 3 years, with the first one being due on August 1st, 2024. These audits were actually, we actually completed our audits early. We completed our audits in before school was out. The audits consisted of two elements. One was the actual audit itself, and also the climate and culture. The climate and culture was a survey of students, staff, faculty, and anyone that was working in the school to determine how they felt the safety of their school were. We had the principals send out a survey, and that survey was then, the results of that survey was given back to that principal so that they know the areas they needed to correct. The safety audit that we use is called REAMS, which is the Readiness and Emergency Management for Schools. And this is an app that was recommended by Arkansas Safe Schools for all audits to be used. We had to train safety coordinators for each individual school. That safety coordinator had to work with that particular school's safety team in order to complete the audits. There was mandated training that had to be completed for our coordinators to be certified. So what we did was we brought Arkansas Safe Schools to the auditorium of Mills High School, and we trained all of our officers as well as all of the school safety coordinators. Even though, turnover happens, so this is going to be a continued training for our safety coordinators, but in order for the school to have a safety coordinator on their safety teams, they must be trained in a safe school designated course. Next year, what our plan is to include more first responders. In order to complete this first audit, we had to actually figure out what was the best way and get familiar with how to conduct the audit. Even though it was mandated that we completed the audit, this was our first time actually working with the REAMS app. This was our first time working with safety coordinators. And then this was also a first time for the safety team to work as a cohesive team to complete the audits. Now that we have an understanding on how the audits need to be completed, then we're going to start the next round of audits in 2026 so that we can all have them completed by 2027. These audits, the completed audits, are the actual, if you will, the outline for the schools to start improving and work upon improvements throughout the 3-year period. So if there was something that was lacking in the first audit, then this gives them the time to start addressing whatever that issue was, so that when it's time for the next audit, that issue could be corrected. These audits are not FOIable. These audits are working documents that the schools use to better themselves. If you would like to see the documents, we can definitely share them with you. But again, these are working documents for the schools to be able to improve the safety of their schools. Any questions for me? Yes, ma'am?
So, was the audit successful? Did they say that we did everything that we were supposed to do?
Yes. So the audit was successful, but most importantly for the state, they wanted this document to be our working document to make improvements. So even though we complied with the LEARNS Act, but now they want to see next steps. Now that we have the document, we have the audit, you have the climate and culture, you have the results of your safety audit, let's see what happens in 3 years. And let's compare the progress. That's what the state really wanting us to do.
Did they give suggestions in that comment, or
No.
they just said, do better?
You know, this is your first audit. The first audit was rough because again, you know, this was the first time that we actually had a specified document recommended by the state to use. So we all, plus the elements of the coordinators, the safety teams, and so the first year the state knew that it was going to be rough. It was going to be choppy. But now that we went through the process, now that we know the process, then the next audit is going to be way more, flow much easier, as well as, you know, hopefully give better results. Yes, ma'am?
You said the audit was, the questions were asked by the principals? You asked the
No, ma'am.
the staff
Yeah, so,
and reported to the principal?
yes, so the principal was not on, well, let me just say, we do not want the principal as part of the audit teams because we want an unbiased audit. The reason I say that is that, you know, sometimes a principal will say that, hey, my school is perfect, but we want this audit team that is designated by her, as well as the trained safety coordinator to do to conduct the audits. And then those results are given back to the principal for them to work out in their safety team meetings.
You said these were completed before school was out, right?
Correct.
So were students present during at least part of the safety audit?
They were present the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah, we were done prior to school. There are some schools that are still working on trying to complete the audits, but we made sure that we got ours done so that we can get the best results and the best numbers.
And the results that you guys got are going to be essentially used as a baseline
Yes,
for improvements going forward.
correct.
But the improvements, I'm sure, are going to be made every year, and then it'll just be at that 3-year mark that you have to submit another audit to the state, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then we start all over again every 3 years.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next report is financial updates with Ms. Rowlett.
Good evening, Dr. McNulty Board. As you can see, the report didn't change much from last board meeting because we're still in the process of closing out the books for 23-24. We finished paying all the bills, hopefully, for 23-24 on the 8th of this month. So we'll have to accrue whatever's, even though we're in this year, some of those will be for the prior year. And I will tell you all, last year we accrued back about 1.9 million. So this 15 million will drop some because we'll have to take in consideration those accruals. Last time I looked at it, we were at about 1.2. and accruals. Only other thing, we did receive our reimbursements for our merit pay. They sent us about $294,000 for the salaries and benefits, so not much changes. We should have a complete closeout at the next board meeting in September, because we're still doing, accruals and that sort of things. So that's where we are. Any questions?
Ms. Rowlett, when do you anticipate the budget being ready this year?
Well, I had a meeting with the budget team today, and I have asked them to try to have everything in budget prep by the end of this month. I am working with Human Resources on the salaries portions of that. So hopefully, my goal is to have something preliminary when we come back in September. So I'll meet with the budget team on August the 30th. That's our next scheduled meeting, to see if they have things entered, and we'll take it from there.
And so, you and I both know this, but just to put it out there, the budget's due to the state by
September 30th.
September 30th.
Yes.
You think we'll probably need a special meeting to do the budget again this year?
Yes, because what I told the team today is that I wanted them to go ahead and get everything entered, so we can have it in what we call the budget prep system. Go ahead and get all of it in, and we'll meet back and do a projection on our legal fund balance. And what I would like to do is bring to you on the September board meeting, just a preliminary, because you all had mentioned maybe to look at it before and then come back and say, okay, everything looks good. That's what I would like to do.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
What was, do we still have an expectation of increased tax funds for
Yes. About 8 million.
8 million?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So we have a balance of, say, 12 million, and then we're expecting to have 8 million more than what we had when we ended up with 12 million?
8 million more balance, or 8 million in revenue?
8 million more in revenue.
Yes, in revenue, but we won't know.
Relative to this year when we ended up with 12 million.
Yeah,
right?
8 million more in revenue, in tax revenue, yes, ma'am. But when we sit down and look at, what we have in our system so far as it relates to salaries and benefits, that's 80% of our budget. And there were some things that we paid last year out of our millage money that we're gonna have to put back in our budget. So those are the sort of things. And we also, one thing this year, even though the ABC is Fund 2 and it's considered part of our legal balance, we fell short on that this year. So we'll have to look into how much we'll have to pay them back next year. Because this year we're gonna have to probably give them about $500,000. Even though it's in Fund 2 and it's gonna be part of our legal balance, it's gonna take away from our Fund 2000, our Fund 2000.
ABC, when you say ABC, you mean pre-K, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And the fund is 2365, and it's part of our legal fund, but it's going to impact what we can pay out of our unrestricted Fund 2000.
Well, I just wanted everybody, when they heard you say ABC, they might
Yes,
not know what
thank
you
you.
mean. And then the other thing is when Dr. Tate is talking about the 8 million in new revenue that's being projected, that's on the assessor and the treasurer are on a January to January to December fiscal year, and we're on so the 12 doesn't match perfectly to because we've already been the 8 doesn't match perfectly to
Yes.
to our fiscal cycle, because some of it's already been received in last year's.
Some of it,
Yeah.
yes. And you gotta remember, when we say that, part of that is our foundation funding as well, because we'll get all our foundation from tax revenue. We won't get any state aid this year.
Yes.
It'll all be from tax revenue.
So you saw the state aid notice, right?
Excuse me?
You saw the preliminary state aid notice?
Yes, I did. Yes,
And
yes.
and that number was 0, right?
Yeah, that number was 0, and last year was $60 per student. So, which impacts as our cash flow as well. So we're heavily dependent on our taxes for our cash flow.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay. All right. Our next item is construction updates with Mr. Johnson.
Board, good evening. Following report is as follows. Updates for Mills High School. We're still moving along with Mills as far as the arena, the classrooms, concession stand and softball areas. They're doing concrete and steel at this particular point in time. The rough end process is going according to plan. as far as plumbing and electrical and those things. So we're still moving along our schedule for Mills High School. College Station, we talked about in last Monday night's meeting. So for just a basic refresher, the design team are working currently on the designs to get that information over to the insurance company so we can finalize what that payout is going to be to the district as far as submission to the insurance company. Okay. Robinson Elementary, the SPED classrooms. So we received a letter today from ADE with some exceptions, not approval, but exceptions to get corrected, and the architects are working to get those exceptions taken care of. And as quickly as they can, they'll get that turned back around to ADE so that we can get final approval and get that classroom completed. Robinson ninth grade building. The health department did an inspection today. We had some flooring that needed to be completed in the cooler room. Once that is completed, then before Friday, then we should be good to go as far as the health department is concerned. However, we still have a grease trap issue in that building that we're trying to get resolved. The plans have been forwarded over to ADE, and their piece is dependent upon the cost. If it's less than $50,000, they don't have to have ADE approval. If it's more than $50,000, then it'll have to go through the regular approval process. As soon as we get that information, we'll basically bring it back before the board. Those are the current updates as of right now. Are there any questions that I can answer for the board? Yes, Dr. Tate.
So the estimates that we were given for Robinson High School, those were just taken from the original plan and kind of broken up, right? They were just guesstimates, right?
That's correct.
This is going to bleed into our next item as well, so you can ask now and later. I have a question about Robinson Elementary.
Yes, sir.
So we've already approved that classroom change to go into effect, right? Like, I mean, the money for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so when do you think right now we're looking at being able to utilize that classroom?
At this point in time, until I get feedback and approval from the state, I don't have a number. I can tell you that the completed time frame will be 6 weeks from the contractor's perspective once we get final approval.
So perhaps October or late.
I'm actually hopeful that over the next week, maybe 2 at the latest, that we'll have something back from the state, and then I can give you a better answer at that point in time, Mr. Delaney.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know. I didn't know if you take the bait on that or not.
No, sir. The reason that we're here, on the very front end of this project was at Dr. McNulty's request, was to be done in-house by the maintenance team. However, the maintenance team ran into some difficulties because this was, they're going to use SPED funds to basically complete the project. ADE required them to have health department and fire marshal approval. Thus, we had to go and generate plans. For the submission for SPED, I had 5 days to generate a design and a price. And we really, really burnt the midnight oil to get that taken care of. Once submission took place, then ADE kicked back and said, hey, we need the health department issue and we need the fire marshal's piece back. And so we worked diligently to get that taken care of. That's been submitted. We're just waiting for final approval.
And the reason ADE cares is because it's a special ed classroom, right?
I would speculate that portion of it, but I would also say it's because we're going to use SPED funds for it.
Oh, that's
so
right.
Because
okay,
we're using
right.
SPED funds, those are the requirements for that.
Okay. And the grease trap issue, so if that doesn't get resolved before school starts, what would the impact be to that part of the high school campus?
Well, at this point, it's unknown what that would do, except for the city in 2017 gave us a requirement to update the grease trap. And that predated Dr. McNulty and myself. And until going through this process with Chartwell was the lead off as far as basically going in and taking some of their investment dollars as far as basically being able to redo this kitchen. However, the plumbing department and maintenance ran across the issue with the permitting piece. And so we had to go back and basically try to get that addressed. And so that's where we are now. The design work has been done and completed, has been submitted to ADE. And like I said there again, if the work estimation is less than $50,000, which I doubt that, when we did Mills High School, or Mills Middle School, it was roughly $300,000 to get that done. I'm not anticipating that it's going to be that high. I do believe that it's possibly going to be over the $50,000 threshold, which means that they would have to approve the project.
So practically speaking, for this, how does it impact, how would it impact teachers and students if it's not completed, or as it's being worked on but not yet completed?
Correct.
Does that mean that they can't serve food there? Do they have to bring, how would that work?
So, and I can't speak for food and nutrition, but based on the conversations that we've had, if it's not approved, then we would have to bring food in to basically feed our kids in that facility at this time frame.
Okay, all right. Other questions for Mr. Johnson?
On the grease trap issue, can you tell me again when that's expected to be fixed? The school starts a week from yesterday, right?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Potter, and we're full aware of that. But that grease trap piece, the design portion of it, has already been submitted to the state. We're just waiting approval for them.
I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying.
No, it's not a blame. I don't
The
take-
timeline is getting a little tight.
We've been pushing to get this done.
Yeah. Okay, so it's an outstanding issue. You're working on it.
But I needed to bring that up so folks are fully aware, and I'm transparent in that process.
Okay. Other issues that Mr. Johnson raised in his presentation, or anything else? We're going to go into the next item. You're welcome to stay up here because you may have some question may come that you could answer, or I don't know what, but
Yes, sir.
that's going to bring us down into an old business item. It's a non-action item, but just a second, let me do a sidebar.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay, and then I'll let you. Sure. Okay, so last Monday, we had a facilities work session here to go over our Building for the Future projects and the current status of everything and what our next steps are. One of the presenters was our bond counsel, Ms. Allgood. And I'm going to summarize this. These are my words, not hers, just to recap a little bit. We sold these bonds that raised about $80 million at the end of December of 2021. Bond funds must be spent within a certain time frame. It's a little fuzzy. There's no hard date, though they would our council would have preferred, ideally, we have them spent within 3 years, which would put that at the end of December this year. But there's no hard date at which we lose the money, but we need to they can't give us a hard date, but they can tell us that if we don't take some kind of action and make progress towards spending those funds, we would be at risk for losing those funds and having to give them back to the bondholders, essentially. So we do need, there is some time frame on spending the money. But after 3 years, it does become concerning. So there is a bond piece out here. As to the facilities, essentially, what I believe we were shown is we had $80 million raised in funds back in 2021 through a millage vote, where we showed our voters a certain set of projects to complete. Of that $80 million today, it's a moving target, but the administration more or less believes we have approximately $20 million of that $80 million left that was raised. If you look in our Fund 3 account, which is the building fund account, it will show more, but that's because as the ongoing projects get further along, we pay portions of that to the construction company. So we've committed some of that money that's in there. So if you just look at Fund 3, it doesn't show what we actually have to spend. So you have to do an estimate based off of what we've already approved, which means that we think a hard number is 20 million. It could be a little more than that, but 20 million is a number that's been thrown around that's left to spend of the 80 million originally procured in 2021. 3 of the schools that were part of the Building for the Future project have received their approvals for their facilities. The Maumelle one is basically complete. It may be done, right?
Maumelle is complete.
The book's closed on Maumelle, right?
Yes, sir.
The Sylvan Hills Band Room, it had a small portion, maybe $1 million of that. That's an ongoing project, but it should be completed this summer sometime.
It is complete.
It is complete. The book's closed.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
we've got 90 chairs to buy for band room students. Other than
Okay.
that, it's closed.
But they're gonna be able to use that that band room starting next week, right?
They're using it now.
Okay, right. Oh, yeah, right. And then the Mills High School project we approved a few months ago and is currently being built. Well, that left 4 schools, College Station, Harris, Baker, and Robinson High School. I'm leaving out some other things like a bus depot and some other stuff, but I'm speaking just in terms of schools that, you know, have children in them. So of that 80 million, so of the 4 schools that were left, the estimate by my math was to build those 4 schools as they were shown to the voters in 2021 could cost around $80 million. If we had $80 million, we probably could complete them substantially similar to what they were shown. Would you agree with that?
That's a true statement.
Yeah. But we only have 20 left. And these commitments to the 4 schools. So on Monday, we were shown options that the board could take to address the 4 schools. And, but it was a work session. We don't make decisions at work sessions. I didn't intend us to make a decision today. But we need to figure out a process basically to get to a decision, because the way I saw how it would look is that the board would need to pick an option or get the administration to give it another option or whatever. But the board would need to settle on an option or options that was shown. And then the administration would probably take those options and go to the construction companies to try to get bids for those options. Does that sound more or less correct?
Well, we've done the initial bid process as far as for pre-construction as far as pricing goes. Once you guys give a green light on either project, then it goes out for hard bid and a guaranteed GMP for us.
Yeah, and so you need some kind of direction from the board about what to do,
That's correct.
based off of what was shown to the board, or what the board may request that wasn't shown, but I don't know that it will. And once you get that direction, then the construction managers will do a hard bid, or, you know, go out and do that process, just like we went through with Mills, where ultimately it should result in what's called a guaranteed maximum price document, right, that the board can approve. And so once it approves that document, then construction starts.
That's correct.
But that gap between when you get direction from the board on what to do and when the board can approve a final GMP, a guaranteed maximum price document, could be 2-3 months, right?
Could be, potentially.
I think Mills was a little more complicated maybe, but we approved, I think we gave direction on Mills in August, and then when did we get a GMP? Was it February?
Mr. Delaney, at this time, I don't recall
Okay.
the timeframe.
Okay, well, it took months.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the board, you know, what does the process look like what does the board want the process to look like to get to a decision? What else do we need to do? What other information does the board need? Do you need to do school visits to see schools? What do we want as a board to be able to get to a point where we can make that decision to give the administration direction on what to do? And
Mr.
then,
Delaney, can I plug in one thing before you move forward? Typically, the construction firms will put a bid package together and put it out and give either a 3 or 4 week turnaround period as far as getting bids back at a certain time frame. So it's important for me to make sure you understand that they'll have to have some time to put it out for bid.
oh, yeah, and that's what I think that space between when we give you the direction and then when a document appears on our agenda that we can vote on that actually starts the project. So there will be some time in between those 2 votes.
Yes, sir.
And then the last thing is that I thought is that we need to figure out as a board how to make this decision, what process we want to use, when we want to make the decision, and then how to address the projects that don't receive what they were shown, because there's no way you can spread 20 across 80. So that's another piece that doesn't have anything to do with giving the administration direction is we need to decide what we want to do about the shortfall. So with that, I'll stop. That more or less explains why this is on the agenda and why we're doing what we're doing and gives a recap. And then if Dr. McNulty wants to add anything or correct anything I said, that's,
No, I think you encompassed the conversation really well. You know, I think that for me right now, as we're looking at data, the data that really stands out to me is enrollment. We have some serious enrollment issues now in the Robinson feeder that has surprised me. I think we're at 983 at the high school. And we continue to get students in. One of the trends that I was going to talk about in the superintendent's comments is that typically in PCSSD, since I've been here, we start high and then we drop really fast. This year we started low and we continue to increase students across the district, and that's at all our feeders. Maumelle High School, for example, has had a big enrollment increase. So, you know, obviously as superintendent, my concerns are making sure that we have facilities to create good learning environments for our young people. And we know that the Robinson campuses, you know, are being pushed to the max. There was one other idea that I will credit to Brian Mon, a former board member, and this has been out there, I think, before I was here, is that looking at the middle school as an opportunity to somehow refit for the high school, and then using some of the designs to adjust to make a middle school down below the older middle school. The strength of that, according to Mr. Mon, and I talked to some of the team out in Robinson High, is that everything's connected then. You have the driven program, and then you have the high school coming in. There certainly would have to be an adjustment. We probably want to look at what our architects could do and what ideas they can bring. I'm just reporting what Brian said, and I always find Brian astute in how he looks at things. I want to say thank you to our operations teams and our architects. This is a complex situation. However, we have a timeline. So I appreciate the board's urgency on this, because I don't want to give any money back, and I would like it to use it for our students.
okay. And with that, I'll throw it open to the board and see if they have reactions to that or their own thoughts.
I'd certainly be open to getting a bid and a design for switching the high school into the middle school, and the middle school building some more, adding to it, and putting the middle school down where we've got the 9th grade now. I'd like to see some designs and bids on that. If it could include baseball bathrooms and redo the football field, that'd be great.
In terms of a decision, so you would like some information on that, if it's possible to get, about what doing that's almost just replacing the kids, right? Like just,
No, you'd have to add more classrooms, like what they showed us, to the middle school. You remember one of the options they showed us was to add that 2-story,
you're talking about the old middle school.
yeah, the old middle school. So they're, right, gonna add to the old middle school and put the middle school kids in there, right? Am I doing that thing correctly?
I think so, yeah.
And then the high school kids would go to the middle school. So we only have, 600 middle schoolers and 1,000 high schoolers, so it seems logical to put the 1,000 in the bigger facility.
Others?
I'm with Dr. Tate on that. It's concerning the overpopulation of the high school at this point. We don't want to start trying to we've got no floodgates of students.
Pull your mic.
Is that better?
There you go.
I agreed with Dr. Tate.
In agreement with Dr. Tate and Mr. Keller also. It seems like Robinson has real issues with a growing population, which is a good thing, but the kids have to be in an environment that is safe and comfortable, and if this is the best way to address it right now, then I could definitely get on board with that.
I think it does solve some of the safety issues also. I know it's difficult to have the high school kids in 3 different areas and to make sure everything's the way it should be.
Okay. So this is like what y'all have talked about is sort of 2 pieces. It's going to be one of those options that we were shown. That's what you're suggesting, right? It's one of the options we were shown Monday night for Robinson.
Well, yeah, I don't think it'd be exactly
Well,
one of the options, but similar, right?
an option that expands capacity at the old middle school,
Right.
which I think was like option F. Was it F? Something like that. And then a reconfiguration of the entire campus on a grade level basis, right? Just reconfigure where the grades are. So that's, what I'm hearing is that something that some on the board would be interested in seeing, right? Is an option like that, and because the reconfiguration piece, we would need some certainty from the administration that that's workable, because it technically doesn't have anything to do with facilities, it just has to do with how facilities are used. So our administrators would really have to speak to that, the feasibility of that. But if it was feasible, then that would essentially point in the direction of doing some new construction down at the old middle school, right?
How soon could we be shown an option like that? My concern, like Dr. McNulty said earlier, is that I don't want to have to pay back any of that money, I think she called it arbitrage, is that the word that she used? I don't want to have to pay that back if we can avoid it. I want to be able to use that for facilities, especially given that we have so little money and so many projects. So we need to, in my opinion, to do everything we can to get the best bang for our buck as soon as possible.
So the bond thing was 2 issues. One was we're essentially earning, and this is my word, profit on the interest, because when the interest rates went up, we sold the bonds before the interest rates went up, and so the bank, our checking account, or wherever we stash the money, is actually making more in interest than we're paying on the bonds. And so the district has been profiting, essentially, or receiving revenue from this. It's been netting out money. But we're not allowed to do that after 3 years. So what that means is on the arbitrage thing is that we can't make any more profit after 3 years. We just have to give that profit away. The other piece was actually the bondholders looking and saying, you haven't spent all your money, so which they loaned it to us, and so they could like recall the money. That's probably the more dangerous piece, because we don't want to lose the 20 million. I mean, we wouldn't have to make the payments on them anymore, so it's not like it's being stolen from us. But essentially, both of those pieces, my understanding is that we're going to incur, we're not going to get all the money spent by the 31st because of the nature of how construction projects work, where even if we approved a $20 million project for Robinson and it started on December 31st, we can't just cram $20 million into, just basically slam it down on the desk of the construction company and say, boom, it's spent. That's actually not being responsible. That's how it would be considered. We have to pay it as it's being built. So we're always, I think, going to end up in 2025 with money left from the bonds. It's just that if we're showing good faith at producing, spending the money, that is probably enough to protect us, was how I interpreted what the bond lady said.
Well,
Yep.
we know that we need to address issues at several of our schools. We know that Robinson has some pretty serious, or getting to be serious, overcrowding problems. So I feel like that needs to be addressed as soon as possible in the most efficient way possible and the wisest financially possible way. So how soon can we be shown an option like we've been talking about so that maybe we can get the ball rolling on this? Like, what does that timeline look like? Is it possible to see something like by the next board meeting, or do we need to wait until October? I just don't want to have to pay anything back, any more back than we absolutely have to. And I want to make sure that our issues at our schools are addressed.
So, Ms. Potter, as it relates to designs to show, there's a possibility we can have something ready for the next board meeting. The good thing about where we are, when we stop these projects, I normally always tell you guys from design to a building on the ground is 36 months. The majority of the 12 to 15 month of that is a lot of design work, community meetings, all that kind of stuff. Well, we've done all that. And so the place where we stopped with all four of these projects were places where we can just pick back up and move it forward fairly quick. So I'm confident that once we reach a decision on anything, we can move it forward, with the exception of redesigning and coming up with a concept to do what's being suggested here tonight. I'm not sure of that time frame, but I'm pretty sure I can get a design or a basic design, schematic design, ready by next month.
So if we're making some big changes to what we originally approved for Robinson, is that going to require community meetings?
It should not at this particular point in time, but if there are drastic outside of what we initially put out, there may be some additional discussions.
Okay.
So legally, we're not required to do community meetings. It's just sort of like more of a moral obligation, and also, given that we're facing a really daunting math problem, 20 doesn't go into 80. Okay, I mean, well, it does, but 80 doesn't go into 20. Okay, and that's why, we do have the problem of how to spend the 20, and that's the practical problem. The other piece is figuring out what to do about the 60 that's left, okay? And so that's also got to be part of this process. And so I've had a bias towards making sure when we do these things, not necessarily that we do community meetings on all of this, but when we have these type of discussions that are meaningful, like at the work session, sorry, Mr. Johnson, but thank you, is that we afford ourselves as much of an opportunity as possible to hear from the public when we're doing this, and because this is going to be a very difficult process. And so I do hope that when we get to a decision, it's not, obviously the time frame is going to be slightly rushed with respect to the tick, tick, tick of the bond stuff, but I still think there's probably some way to at least give people a meaningful say in that, or at least to hear from them or have their questions answered. Now, with respect to moving kids to the middle school, we need to hear from the administration on that. It sounds like they're open to it. It could work. Parents will probably have a lot of questions about that, so that's going to trigger a whole cascade of emails probably with concerns that we'll need to look at as well. So if we do that option, I would say that it's good that we're saying this right now, okay, so that they know that it's something we're thinking about. And then we really need to understand the mechanics of that for the parents to understand how that would change their kids' lives, so.
So do you think it would be best then to, in September, possibly, if we're able to see some sort of preliminary design, to hold another work session sometime in September to allow people to voice their opinions on that, especially if it's shown at the September meeting? Or do we need to wait until October? Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I just want to,
I think you saw with Ms. Rowlett and I, it looks like we're going to need a meeting in September to approve the budget like we always do.
right.
So, and the budget is when we learn about the administration, our outlook on our finances for the coming year. So that seems like a natural place to do something, to me, whether or not it's to pick a plan or to continue the discussion. But that, to me, seemed like a natural spot because we already know we're going to need a meeting there.
Okay.
Yeah, and if we could have a design and a, hopefully close to what would be the end cost, then we would have an idea when Ms. Rowlett tells us about our finances, whether we could get a second lien bond, and that could maybe be step 2 for some of these other issues, and we could at least pass and get the 20 million accounted for.
That's going to, yes, because we do have those other obligations that are outstanding. The board's going to have to, I would prefer that the board make some kind of statement at the same time we spend the 20 to reassure and address how, give some guidance on how we expect to handle the other schools. And if we do Robinson, if that's the school we end up doing, Robinson by itself can't be satisfied with 20 based off of what was shown. So even doing Robinson will still require some statement about what to do with what the board's intent was for all the schools, including Robinson. So that is, to me, as important as the decision we make, which is important, is also the guidance about what comes next and how the board intends to prioritize that and reassure people that this isn't the end of the line. Unless the board wants it to be the end of the line, then I think we need to state with some clarity what our intentions are after we spend the 20.
Well, I think we need to figure out a way to keep our promises. I just don't know what all of our options are to do that. So if we have our budget meeting and we see that we have money that we can allocate to potentially doing more second lien bonds, then I think that's an option that we could explore. I have heard people mention maybe trying to get a millage done, and I just don't think that people would be open to that because we've promised them things that we haven't delivered on. So we've got to figure out a way to keep the promises that were made in 2021. I know that it's not going to be an overnight resolution, but we've got to figure that out. We've got Harris, College Station, Baker, and Robinson that have been expecting improvements for 3 years. So we have to figure out how to make that happen.
I agree. I think keeping our promises in a timely manner to all the schools has gone by the board. I just hope that we will still commit to keeping the promises because the timely has expired. So can we pencil in just get that out there in the atmosphere now that for our September budget meeting, it's a definite that we'll have a facilities element to that, and then try to sketch out exactly if that's going to be a decision or a continuation, and then also, so September budget meeting, have a facilities element, and then our September regular meeting also will have a facilities element as well. Is that okay to the board?
I would like to see that happen.
Okay. So our September regular meeting is the 10th. The September, and then we don't know the day that the September budget meeting would be, but we know the day it has to be before, and that's on or before the 30th, which is a Monday. So that could mean the week before, 23 through 27. So definitely more facilities talk on September the 10th. And definitely more facilities talk at the special board meeting that will happen at the end of September, which could be a meeting that we make a decision at. Could. And I'll say this too, we are missing 2 board members as well, so, that aren't here, and one wasn't at the work session. So there are other voices that we haven't heard from. But the ones that are here, thank you. And again, to the public, if you continue to have questions or concerns, send those to us. Contact us, all schools, and I'll continue to work with the superintendent on trying to, Dr. McNulty, to get things, the meetings piece of it, and the transparency piece, and the documentations and everything, and try to get this in a way that makes as much sense as possible, given that you're trying to push 80 into 20. So we're already on a bad foot here, but I'll try to work with Dr. McNulty and the administration to do these meetings in the best possible way, understanding that we have a problem that's not immediately solvable. And with that, any last statements, questions, concerns? Okay. So to be continued, but not forever, because we've set other dates and we know we have to make a decision in a timely manner on the $20 million. Okay? All right. That's going to take us out of old business and into new business. The first item on new business is the Quaver read with Dr. Bell. Mr. Wilson, don't forget that green button right there.
We'll see you in September.
Okay.
Good job. Good evening, board. I'm here to speak on the Quaver quote that I put in the board packet, and I have Ms. LaWanna Green here with me, who's going to explain more about that program. So I know there may be some questions about it, so I'm going to let her talk about that program.
Good evening. So Quaver is a digital online curriculum platform that provides ready-made lessons on social skills for students. The counselors would use it, but it would also be available school-wide. The lessons include topics such as getting along, how to be responsible, managing your behavior, self-regulation, and just how to become a productive citizen. So the lessons are ASCA aligned, they're CASEL aligned, and they are, the teachers would be able to use them, counselors would be able to use them. They provide ready-made lessons for tier 1, 2, or 3 level students. So when I talk about tier 1, I'm talking about whole group instruction, being able to provide whole group instruction to students. Tier 2 would be those small group students. Johnny just can't stop running down the hall. If we need to provide him with some additional intervention, they have lessons that you could provide to that student, as well as individual lessons. So it meets our needs in terms of being able to provide tier 1, 2, and 3 lessons to the students. If you've ever been in the world of a counselor, you walk in the door and you may have, the administrator may come in and just say, hey, I got Johnny here and I need you to work with that student. So on a whim, you've got to figure out how to work with that student and give them the skills that they need in order to correct the behavior or to meet that need. With this platform, you would have some ready-made lessons that you could pull and you could teach that student on the spot, and it would just provide some relief for the counselors. So that's in a nutshell what it is. Are there any questions?
So how important is it for, when you say the teachers have access to it, for some of our elementary schools that only have one counselor? So the benefit to the teachers being able to access some of that stuff too.
Very important. As a matter of fact, one of the administrators talked with me about the fact that they need to do some school-wide interventions, because if you're trying to teach certain character traits in the school, and so instead of the counselor having to work with each and every class, then you have an opportunity for the teachers to teach the same lessons. So everybody in the school is teaching the same lesson with the same language and providing the same type of interventions. Very important.
What's the format of the lesson? Is it someone lecturing or?
So music is the foundation for this program. The company is in Nashville, Tennessee, and so it's kind of like a music type thing. So you may have a lesson on, let's just say, self-control. And so the teacher or the counselor would give some instruction, but then there's a little song that they would sing to it that would also teach that lesson. They play games to encourage or to, I can't even get my words out, to provide or emphasize whatever the skill is that they're trying to teach. So there's a little lecture, there's games, there's videos, there's intervention, there's a parent piece, because if I needed to send something home for the parent to look at or to work with the student on, there's a parent intervention piece that you could use as well.
Thank you.
So, did they, this is for younger kids, right? Elementary kids?
Elementary, yes.
So, are they watching a song or watching kids sing or whatever, and then are they answering questions, or is it just a presentation?
All of it. You can have a presentation. The kids can watch a little video of the song. They can also answer questions. Like I said, with the games, it may be like questions that they're answering. So there's interaction with the students. But there's also lecture. There's also songs. There's games. All types of things.
So when the students are answering questions, is that data collected where the teachers can go in and look at the data and figure out how they answered a particular question so that they know where to target intervention?
Yes, absolutely. There's a piece to it that then I can go back and look at the data. I can create like tests or assessments that I wanted to give to the students. And then I could go back and look at that and figure out, okay, well, we started here, now we've improved. Or I can look and say, well, Luana, that still needs some help. So that's when I implement that small group or that individual intervention with that student.
And then the data, does it follow the student through the rest of their year? So let's say a kindergartner comes in, is using this software for intervention. So when the child gets to first grade, will the first grade teacher be able to look at what happened in kindergarten to build upon it, or does it start fresh every year?
I'm not sure about that. I could find out though. I'm not sure if it follows from to the next year. I don't know.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Just one, and this, we have the new LEARNS law, and it uncovers all kinds of topics. One of them is indoctrination and so on and so forth, and so we're confident that this doesn't trip up on any of that, or that we won't use it in that way, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. All right. Any last questions? If not, I'll take a motion on this.
Motion.
Ms. Ward has made a motion to
Second.
approve. Mr. Keller has seconded. Last bits of discussion. Okay, I will put it to a vote. All in favor of approving the Quaver Ready proposal, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Williams. You have a few items here for us. The first one is Board Policy 4.5F, School Choice Capacity Resolution. We don't have a secretary tonight, so can't sign this one.
Okay.
But let's get it approved anyway.
Yes, sir. So as you stated, that is the resolution we do each year to fulfill our school choice process. And so we will have to get it signed at the next board meeting.
Okay. If we need it sooner than that, we could probably get somebody to her or something. I could sign it tonight, but.
Yes, sir.
What changed? Was there anything that changed between last month and this month?
Basically the year. There was some language in there regarding exemptions to desegregation, and so there was some cleanup from the state with that, but the biggest portion was the year.
Okay.
Because we have to update the year each.
All right. Questions for Dr. Williams? All right, I'll take a motion on this.
Motion.
Ms. Ward's made the motion. Second, anyone?
Second.
Dr. Tate has seconded. Any last discussion or questions? Okay, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of approving 4.5F, the school choice resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Dr. Williams, your next one is 4.5F2 and 4.5F4, the
Yeah,
letters.
And those are just accompanying forms that had to be updated as well.
Okay, so these are letters that go out to the parents?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just keep this going. I'll take a motion on this.
Motion.
Ms. Ward's made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Tate seconded. Questions about the letters? All right. I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of approving the letters, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. The next one is 4.6 and 4.6 PF2, homeschooling related items.
Also a language update, some of it was formatting. Sometimes they have things in a paragraph form, they like to put them in bullets from time to time. So that, and then the removal of the word accreditation, because the state does not recognize homeschools as being under accreditation system.
All right, I'll keep this going. I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Keller seconded. Discussion on this. All right, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of these two these two whatever, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Dr. Williams, your next one is 4.27, student sex discrimination and sex-based harassment.
Yes, this one, along with certified and classified policies that will come forth later with PPC, just change the language, some of the language from the word sexual, change it to sex-based, and things of that nature to be compliant with policy changes.
Okay. Just to keep this moving, I'll make a...
I have a question.
Oh, good.
Why, do you have any idea why that change was made?
It was some of the changes in the policy through the state was why ASBA did the updates on the policy. So they came through that system just to update it because it was formerly sexual harassment and now it's just sex-based. And so if you go through that document, you'll see that's all through the document. You'll see that.
Yeah, I saw that. I just found it curious that they made the change because it didn't seem to me like it mattered one way or the other what word was used. And I haven't really, I mean, this is the first time asking you about it. And to be clear, I have not asked Dr. McNulty about this, but I like to know the why, and I haven't been able to get a clear answer as to why. So that may be a reason for me to not support it tonight, just because I don't know the why behind it.
Okay, I'll get a motion on this for me.
Motion.
Oh, Ms. Ward will make the motion. I'll second it. Other questions in discussion? Okay, let's put 4.27 to a vote. All in favor of 4.27, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
That's 4-1. I have Ms. Potter as the only no vote on 4.27. Next is 4.47, possession of cell phones.
Yes, that one also is just a change in language. They're being more specific with what an electronic device is. So you'll see where it kind of delineates different types instead of just saying electronic device.
All right, I'll make a motion on this just to get it going. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Tate has seconded. Discussion and questions? Okay. I'll put 4.47 to a vote. All in favor of 4.47, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And then, Dr. Williams, your last one here is 4.63, student religious expression.
Again, this was a formatting change, and then there was an update in one of the codes. There was an error, and so one of the legal references was updated.
Okay. I'll make a motion on this. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Ward is seconded. Questions and discussion? Okay. I'll put 4.63 to a vote. All in favor of 4.63, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Our next item is Mr. Johnson with the gate at the Robinson Freshman Building.
Yes, sir. Good evening again, Board. The proposal that's in front of you deals with securing the 9th grade building on the Robinson campus area. And it's a buildup of the rear part of the campus that's not currently fenced. And so we need to get a fence up with that many students that's going to be on the campus to keep those folks secure based on an open architecture and design of this campus. So that's the proposal.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, so you've got Highway 10 in front of the school.
Yes, sir.
Then you hit the entrance of the school. You hit the entrance of the school and the school itself, and then all of this is happening behind the building, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and is it enclosing the parking lot behind the building?
That's correct. So you got the left side of the the east side of the campus already has gates in that middle section that's open. So the back rear of the campus is what's completely exposed.
Okay, so it's going to be in between the park, there's going to be one set of fencing and gates between the back side of the parking lot and that driveway that you take up to Robinson Middle?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. You've got 3 bids here, just as a housekeeping matter. Which one were you recommending?
Definitely not the highest.
Okay, well, I
So
didn't know.
we're looking at the lowest bid on this one.
Okay, so the lowest bid is the first one, I believe, which is Bill's Fence.
I believe so. I'm not looking at it, Mr. Delaney, so. the
Well,
lowest-
actually, no, the lowest is
United?
United
It's
Fence. It's
United Fence.
$51,163.
United Fence.
So I'll go ahead just to get us started. There can be more discussion. I'll make a motion to approve the Robinson Gate bid from United Fence.
Second.
Okay, and Dr. Tate has seconded. Now, further questions for Mr. Johnson? We think this could be installed by
As quickly as possible.
as quickly as possible?
Yes, sir. As soon as you cut me loose, I can get you a date and time.
Okay, do you think it would be done before the end of the first semester? Do you think?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right. Got you pinned on that.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of space, but, all right. Other questions? All right,
Hang on, how long do you think it takes to put it up, like, once they get started?
Once I can get a commitment for them based on the square footage of what's got to be built, I don't anticipate more than maybe 2-week period of time, if
Okay.
that long, to get done. I
So-
can give you guys an accurate picture once providing this is approved tonight, and we reach out to those folks tomorrow, then I can get you a definite time.
It just scared me a little bit when Mr. Delaney said by the end of the first semester.
no, I'm just letting him graze.
Keep poking the bear is what he's doing.
So, we're doing this primarily for security, to keep people from coming in the back side of the building, right?
That's
Is
correct.
that,
Yes, sir.
okay, all right. All right, others? All right, I'll put this to a vote. All in favor of approving the United Fence bid for the Robinson Gate and Fence, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Last one on our new business is the Sheriff's Office SRO agreement. with Mr. Alleman.
In front of you is the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office Memorandum of Understanding. They will be offering two officers. They will be offering two officers to the county. But the Sheriff's Office has actually supported the county tremendously. They are still going to provide services for Robinson Elementary traffic. So they will also, anything we asked them to do, they have done, and they will continue to offer their support to other schools in the district.
You said the sheriff's office has supported the county? Or you mean the?
No, I'm sorry, yes, supported the school district.
So who's gonna still offer the traffic stuff? Will the traffic,
The traffic for Robinson
yes.
is still going to be Pulaski County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, so are we not gonna be using Little Rock Police Department for SROs anymore at Robinson?
No,
Everything is gonna go,
to
if
Pulaski.
this is approved, everything will go to the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Okay.
Before this agreement is passed, right now, the current arrangement is we have SROs from the county, Pulaski County at Mills.
Correct.
And they help us, not paid or anything, right? With the traffic at certain places at certain times.
Correct.
Okay. And so if we approve this agreement, we're taking both the Mills, which is currently with the sheriff, and Robinson and putting them under the same umbrella.
Yes.
This will have no effect on Sherwood and Maumelle, Sylvan Hills and Maumelle.
No.
They'll still use their local police, we'll still use their local police departments as the SROs.
Correct.
Now, on the traffic issue at Robinson Elementary, we know why that's an issue and something we have a high concern about. Should parents expect generally because of this agreement that there will be a sheriff out there every morning directing traffic, or are they still just gonna do best effort on trying to get out there, or what should they expect now that we passed an agreement?
So once this agreement is passed, they will still offer traffic. The patrol unit will offer traffic, but there will be times when we're gonna have to offer an off-duty officer because they are short as well. And then we would have to pay for an off-duty officer at some point. But they have already committed to having officers there the first day of school, free of charge, and the first week of school, free of charge. So, again, they have supported the district tremendously. And I think that moving forward, they will continue to support us, but at some point, we will have to talk about off-duty officers for Robinson.
Okay, and so the SROs, are they, the actual SROs that are gonna be at that building at Robinson,
Correct.
are they prohibited or stopped or in any way directed by the sheriff to not, like that's not their job, is that to do traffic?
The SROs will assist us, the county will, but they still have an obligation to the school. So the school first, because during dismissal, there could be a fight. There could be a situation where SROs are needed. But they will also be able to call extra help in order to assist with the traffic. So again, they are doing more, we're getting more for the buck here than we were getting with Little Rock.
Okay, and how many SROs typically is at Mills?
There's two, one at the high school and one at the middle school.
And then what will the arrangement be at Robinson under this?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Correct.
So this is an additional two.
Correct.
Okay. And I would note like that traditionally, the sheriff and the sheriff's office provides more than just the two that are
Correct.
that are assigned. They also have officers that come and engage with the youth.
Yeah, that's
And
going to be part of
that's
their
all
program.
free of charge.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
in
they're going to
addition to
actually
the
be doing
sheriff.
classes, teaching in the classroom. That's all free of charge
Yep.
if we get into this contract.
So when we approve this, the expectation at Robinson will be is that you'll still have SROs, the same number as before. There'll be different SRO officers in a different uniform.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'll take a motion on this.
A motion to approve.
Mr. Keller's made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Ward is seconded. Last questions or discussion? Okay, I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of approving the Sheriff's Office SRO agreement for Mills and Robinson, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that completes our new business. That brings us down to comments from the board.
I just want to remind everybody that Thursday at Maumelle High School, 11:30 is our signing with Telco Federal Credit Union. They put a branch on the Maumelle High School campus. I'm so excited about that and about the opportunities to teach students about financial literacy and credit. I just think it is going to be a fantastic partnership, and so everyone is invited.
Okay.
I just want to thank everyone that came out to the main line, the new health clinic for the district. I know everybody else's schedule was kind of busy, and I was the only board member there. However, I'm used to it. So I just want to thank everybody for the main line. It really looks nice. It really looks good in there. And I'm happy for the partnership. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I voted for the main line. And I'd just like to thank all of our staff, certified, support, classified, everybody that has really kicked into overdrive the last week or two. All the excitement. I got a chance to be in Maumelle High School today for some SRO stuff, but the excitement on all the teachers' faces, the front office staff, I think there was some professional development going on there today. Or at least it looked like it. People looked like they were learning. But they all looked excited to be there, which is always a good thing because that's what the kids are going to see. They're going to feed off that energy. So just real thankful for all our people.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. I'll give it to the superintendent. Comments?
First off, I want to thank our families and our students for choosing PCSSD to walk down the road of an education that is valued and that leads them into life directions that they desire and they find fulfilling. We are just honored by that. I also want to put some pressure on Dr. Bloodman and Dr. Luttrell because they're sitting there, and Dr. Bloodman and Luttrell are very tired, but could you briefly come up and talk about the wonderful PD we did today? Because Lieutenant Keller is correct. We had a lot of great learning today, and we had a lot of happy faces. So if you could just spend 2 quick moments about the efforts our professional staff did today and meeting the needs of our students as they come forward.
Thank you, Dr. McNulty.
You're welcome, Dr. Butler.
So yes, we did have an amazing day today at our high schools. We had, actually all of our high schools, we had content day today where Dr. Luttrell and I have made a commitment to work closely this year to ensure that humanities and STEM courses that we're fully aligned. But today was really looking at the data and determining the needs of the district and having some real personalized professional development. For example, we had Benchmark, our K-5 literacy program, and we had a session specifically for new teachers, while our teachers who've been with the program for a year or more, they were engaged in another session. So we had some rotations, we had some very unique learning opportunities taking place today.
If you could describe a word, I would hope that the teachers would say that the PD was very intentional. Then also, I'm one of those people, when I think of professional development, it's not practical. If I can't take it with me when I leave, I feel like I've wasted my time. And so today, we really wanted today to be practical, so when teachers left, they could walk away with something. So we were able to get into standards. We were able to walk away with the first week just planned out, ready to go, ask questions, have all of our coaches there. So I really hope that the teachers got a lot out of it, and at the end of the day, they took something with them, and it was meaningful time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, school starts Monday. Make sure we know our bus routes. We'll be out in force very, very early. Our schools are getting ready to be welcoming to everyone who walks in the door. It's going to be an amazing year. So thank you again for choosing PCSSD.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McNulty. That brings us down to our consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Ward has seconded. Discussion? All right, I'll put the consent agenda to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, let's take a 5-minute recess. We've got employee hearings to take care of. So let's get formed up for that, and we should do the waiver first, right? Yeah, it's on here second, but we're gonna do the waiver hearing first and then the grievance hearing. Ms. Richards, she Okay. So, we can leave this one off. Room is open though, and we're audio recording, right? Okay. Okay, we are back out of our employee hearing. We've deliberated, we've heard testimony and deliberated in executive session, and now we are ready for a motion.
I move to deny the grievance for Curtis Johnson.
Okay, Ms. Potter has moved to deny the grievance for Curtis Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Tate is seconded. I will put it to a vote. All in favor of denying the grievance of Curtis Johnson, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion?
Ms. Potter has made a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Ward has seconded. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.